On today's episode, QRL Lead Blockchain Developer Kaushal Kumar Singh is joining us for a development AMA to talk all things QRL Project Zond and answer a ton of great questions. So you're going to want to stick around and watch this entire episode. Let's dive into this great conversation, Development AMA with Kaushal. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the QRL Show, the place where you come for the crypto and stay for the quantum. Myself and Michael Strike, my co-host, are having Kaushal Kumar Singh, who is our leading blockchain developer at the QRL, on with us for a development AMA. We're going to be going through quite a number of questions. To set the stage for this conversation, we're going to, for those viewing, like if you're watching this to the end, we're going to kind of go over a number of questions related to things such as converting Ethereum smart contracts, some compatibility questions, helpful resources that if you want to build on our chain. So if you watch to the end, that's kind of the gist of what you're going to get. Michael and Kaushal, it's good to have you guys both with me, as always.
Yeah, let's do this.
Well, the first question I want to start out with, as this is a pressing one, we've just recently had the 7-year anniversary of the mainnet release. For QRL being around for that long. So that's a pretty exciting time. We've had a lot going on in this last year. As a first question to kick us off for this AMA, what is QRL Project Zond? I'm going to start this one out with you, Michael, and then Kaushal, you can add to it. Let's let the viewers know. Some of the viewers already kind of have somewhat of an idea, but for those who don't, let's refresh and jog everyone's memory here to kick it off.
Yeah, it's been possibly a little confusing in the past, so let's clarify that. So Zond is the code name of the next iteration of QRL, which is the next phase of QRL's evolution, which is transforming us from a proof of work blockchain into a full-featured quantum computer secure proof of stake network with smart contract capabilities. So this upgrade's not only enabling powerful decentralized finance applications, but also provides like a safe haven for users and assets migrating from other ecosystems that might not be post-quantum secure. And with Zond's post-quantum security foundations, developers can build with the capability of Ethereum that also safeguards identities, votes, tokenized assets, and digital assets, also including NFTs. So it'll be post-quantum secure NFTs as well, which since the first block, which I think is actually probably be a world first, with the benefit of knowing that their project is secure against quantum computers using NIST standards since the first block. And this has been asked in the community a couple times. The QRL ticker is not changing. Zond is the code name of the blockchain. So everything's still going to stay QRL. So in much fewer words, Zond is QRL 2.0.
Gotcha. Kaushal, anything to kind of piggyback on that in terms of the kickoff question there? Any holes to fill in? I know, Michael, you answered it really succinctly and clearly.
Yeah, I like the point where Strike said that Zond is the QR version 2.0. So yeah, you can say that it's the QR version 2.0. It's something which is much powerful than what we had in our previous blockchain QRL. So now it's like we have everything where people can build apps, can do things, lots of stuffs on the blockchain, which they were not able to do with some limited capabilities on the existing QR blockchain. So yeah, Zond is the next big thing. And in short, it's a great definition to say that it's QR version 2.0.
Perfect.
So another thing too, and I just want to emphasize this for the community and people that are listening. These are you have to be post-quantum secure since the first block. If you do not have post-quantum security since the first block and using elliptical curve, which is 99% of all blockchains, basically all of the altcoins, you have this very tedious and difficult migration process. The migration processes are possible, but they come with so many caveats. And in 99% of cases, including Bitcoin, you will not be able to migrate all of the coins over, because in almost every single scenario, this is a manual transaction based on the wallet, and you're just that the user would have to do. So this is a big deal. These are all going to be post quantum secure EVMs. You'll be able to take your smart contract and take the code off of excuse me, copy your contract code that's running on Ethereum and run it on the QRL Zond blockchain, and you'll be able to say with confidence that you're running in a post quantum secure environment as long as that code is running on QRL or QRL Zond. So go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. Kicking it off, Kaushal, could you jump and dive into cryptographic standards for this a little bit in terms of what is QRL Project Zond using under the hood? Obviously, our project QRL is known for being post-quantum secure, as Michael alluded to, since day one. Can you give us a little bit of a sense for that moving forward? We're at a point now where earlier this year, we released exciting Testnet V1. Can you give us set the stage a little bit there? I know obviously that's dynamic and it's continuing to move, but in terms of us getting closer to mainnet, but give us a little context there and we can build into these AMA questions.
Yeah, I would be happy to. So, with the cryptographic standards in Zond, we are going to have both lattice cryptography as well as the hash based cryptography. So, when it comes to the lattice cryptography, we are using uh, the currently running testnet is with dilithium 5, but we are already upgrading to MLDSA 87. So MLDSA 87 is very much similar to that of dilithium 5. The only difference is it just have some minor improvements which we have already done into the Go QRL lib, and we are right now working with the process to upgrade our dilithium 5 with MLDSA 87. So that's the part of the lattice cryptography. But other than that, we have started integration of hash-based cryptography. So with the hash-based cryptography, here comes is like we are going to replace XMSS with Sphinx plus 256S. So you might have heard about Sphinx before, but we are here trying to avoid some of the issues that we had or we have faced in the past, especially with the OTS key reuse and all those stuffs. So with the Sphinx Plus, you are going to have more flexibility. You don't need to worry about your OTS indices getting exhausted, or you have to worry about that whether you have already used those OTS stuffs. So you don't need to track anything. So Sphinx Plus is going to be something completely stateless compared to XMSS, which used to be stateful cryptography. And yeah, so with that, it brings lots of flexibility both for the users and the developers and other stakeholders like exchanges and pools, maybe staking pools, something like that. So yeah.
Perfect. That we'll in the show notes of this AMA, we'll include a couple links as added resources to give people to in terms of understanding that move and understanding Sphinx is spelled SPHINCS with a capital or a plus sign at the end. So for those of you viewing, if you want to just look that up as well.
The big takeaway there is you won't have to deal with the one-time signatures anymore. So when we went during the first block in 2018, there was always, just for a little bit of history on that, I was just going to add in for what Kaushal said. You could only sign a certain number of transactions based on when you had created the wallet. You had to build out the Merkle tree. QRL Zond, or QRL 2.0, as some of us are calling it, doesn't have that limitation, and that's just Kaushal already went through that, but just to simple it down just a little bit. So no more one-time signatures. So that's good.
Yeah, thank you for adding that context, Michael. As the next question, we're going to be going into mainnet upcoming. Right now, we're in testnet. I'd like to touch on a question or two around people creating or building Zond applications as it sits today, and then obviously as we get more towards mainnet. But can we start out first off, Kaushal, with a question which is, hey, is it possible to create Zond applications now in the current state within testnet? And if so, how do people potentially go about that? I think Michael might have another question after this, similar or as a piggyback, but this one would be good to cover on building Zond apps in testnet. Is it possible?
Well, now it's much easier than it used to be before because now we have even more libraries and tools to do that. So we already have built a Zond Chrome extension wallet, which is also exposing lots of APIs, which is required by uh, the DEX or the decentralized applications, anything. So any app that you are trying to build now, you can use a Zond Chrome extension wallet, which is very much similar to that of kind of a MetaMask. So it is very much similar to that. We already have documented stuffs like how you can do the message passing, how you can call that wallet and have some kind of integration or some kind of connections between the decentralized applications and the wallet. So this is one of the things that we didn't have previous testnet, but now we have that. So which is something makes it much easier to build something, to test something on the existing testnet. Of course, we are still working on other stuffs which are like some kind of IDE which helps you to build faster, something like that. It is still in progress. It is not yet finished, so it will take some time. But compared to what we used to have right now, it is still possible and much easier to build something on the Zond. And the best thing, it is going to give you a first mover advantage. You can just build it, and then all you have to do is when we come up with some changes, you just need to upgrade that to make it compatible with the final version. But yes, it is possible that you can start building now. We do have multiple repositories with multiple repositories which shows you like how you can build smart contract, how you can deploy it, how you can compile it. We have our own version of compilers, so we have everything ready. But yeah, still lots of things to be done, but we have most of the things that will support the development on the Zond.
Yeah, no, it sounds like for those that are jump in there, obviously there's going to be a sense or some overlap with the familiarity that they're used to already if they've built Ethereum smart contracts, and then obviously as they go through that, there might be some parts that are a little bit newer. But it sounds like as we get closer and closer, there's going to be much more familiarity, a little bit less friction, and when people jump in there, they'll see, okay, I'm kind of used to working with these libraries, so to speak. But I think that clarifies. Anything to add on there, Michael? I think
Yeah,
Kushal, you summed it up pretty nicely.
Kaushal got it. First mover advantage. How often in life, at the intersection, or even just with one existing cutting edge technology, do you have the opportunity to be first mover advantage and be able to have the first thing running anywhere in the world? And with the smart contract compatibility and quantum secure since the first block, we have people talking about it, but I don't think anyone's deployed it on testnet yet. But you'd be able to deploy the first DeFi smart contract in a fully post quantum secure blockchain, and no one else would be able to say that. I don't know if we have anyone work. I think there's people working on it, but that's just cool. I think.
Yeah, I want to pull the next question. I want to pull that we got from the AMA community question here was one that is the around smart Ethereum smart contracts and porting them over to Zond. We've touched on this a little bit in a little bit of past content, but I think it's worthwhile within the development AMA and having Kaushal on here with us. The question is, how difficult will it be to convert an Ethereum smart contract over to Zond? If we could cover that one, that would be helpful, because obviously there's a number of Ethereum developers watching this that are maybe curious and looking to get their hands dirty on the keyboards. But
Yeah.
Could we touch on this one? And I think that ports nicely into the one or two after that on like maybe the interface side of it and interacting with the chain.
A lot of questions on this one. How easy will it be to just take your existing project and just fork to QRL Zond?
Yeah.
So in terms of like the conversion that you have to do, it's pretty much easier. So first thing is we have our own language which is Hyperion, and Hyperion is derived from Solidity itself. So it's like it's has most of the opcodes similar to that of Solidity. So because we have our own compiler, our own language with the name Hyperion, so the first thing that you have to make change in your smart contract is the first line, because in the first line of your smart contract you write pragma, solidity, and then you write the version. So that specific part, pragma, Hyperion, and then the relevant Hyperion version that has been released, you can use that. So that's the first line that you, of course, have to make changes in all the smart contract. Other than that, you have to do small changes. Not necessarily it is going to happen if you are not using those things on your smart contract. So if you are using some kind of hard coded address or something like that, then our Zond QRL Zond blockchain has a different address format, so you have to update that. And if you are playing with some kind of cryptographies, like if you are using some opcodes which allows you to verify cryptography in Ethereum blockchain, and because Ethereum works on ECDSA cryptography, we will have a different set of cryptographies. So we will have a different set of opcodes for those cryptographic operations. But most of the smart contracts don't use those kinds of opcodes. So in my opinion, like, it would be fairly easy, and the only thing that you should be worried about changing, which is the first line, pragma solidity to pragma Hyperion, and then with some relevant version.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be very
Yes.
much easy in terms of
So
smart contract development. Yeah.
we're talking. I mean, we're really just talking about essentially, in most cases, a few lines of code. Uh, do they have to use our compiler as well?
Yeah, they need to get the Hyperion compiler, which we have already have the repositories and public documentation, like how you can build that. So we have all of that. So in short, converting or migrating smart contract from Ethereum to QRL Zond is very much easy. That's not a big deal. The thing where you may face, I mean, some challenges, because we are still working on the tools, is when you develop some kind of UI or something, because now we are working on some of the tools that you people use. So maybe it's not yet available for us, but yeah, we are working on it. So that part is something where you have to look a bit, or maybe wait for us to develop something like that. But other than that, you can build that. It's not a big deal. Especially most of the people use libraries like Open Zeppelin. So we are looking into what we can do with Open Zeppelin stuff, because that's the standard in the smart contract development, where you use the Open Zeppelin libraries, make some function calls or something like that, and that makes the development easier. So yeah, we are working on something very much similar to that of Open Zeppelin or something like that, so that people can have even more easier things to do the smart contract stuff on the Zond.
Where can developers get the Testnet Chrome extension today if they want to start playing with that with the GUI?
Yeah, they can, of course. We already have the Chrome extension in the GitHub repositories. There is already instructions how they can build, if they want to build on their own, or they can download from the release that we have made there. So it's already there. They can start from today, and we already have the documentations and the example. Like if you are building something, you want to know how can I call to the Chrome extension wallet, because we have a different cryptography, post quantum cryptography. So some of the calls would be different. So we already have the examples and the documentation, which is more than suffice for anyone to understand how to interact with the Zond Chrome extension wallet.
They can play with it now.
Yeah, they can. In short, yeah, they can.
Do we know yet how existing QRL coins will be migrated to the new chain? Be it a manual process or automated in some way. I'm 95% sure I know the answer to this one, but I don't know if I've asked you directly. So existing wallets.
Yes, so for this, we had some idea. It's not something finalized yet, but I would like to discuss that idea which we are thinking of. So the first thing is, what we are going to do is take the snapshot at a specific block height when the blockchain will stall for the proof of work version of the QRL. From that snapshot, we will know like which address holds how much of quanta, how much of tokens, and all those data would be there. What we are planning is to write a smart contract which will have all those details, like which XMSS address holds how much amount of quanta and what kind of tokens. not just XMSS address, but even the multi-sig wallets, if they hold any balance, that would be there on the smart contract. And that smart contract would be deployed in this QRL Zond blockchain. Plus, this smart contract will also have the data of like what OTS indices already been used and which are still available for to use for the signature purpose. So to make it easier, what's going to happen is you will have some kind of UI which is very much simple UI for the migration. All you have to do is you need to provide your new QRL Zond address, the wallet address, and then you need to sign that specific message with your existing XMSS address that you had in your uh, previous version of the QRL, proof of work version of the QRL. And once you do that, you submit that to the smart contract. The smart contract will verify your signature and make sure that you are not using an OTS indices and all other security checks. Once that passes on, it will check like, okay, who is the signer of that XMSS address? Like, what's the uh, XMSS address of the signer? It will check if there is any balance there in this smart contract registered. If there is, it will automatically migrate tokens, quanta, everything, whatever you hold on your address to your new QRL Zond address. But just to clarify, it is still an idea. I think it is very much possible, but we are still going to do some tests and do the implementation behind that, and then we will see if there are any challenges that we missed. But that's what we are going to do. So
Yeah.
simplicity is there is no need for any third party to engage manually to do the migration, which we done last time when we because we involved into the migration. But in this case, people can do migration anytime, anywhere. They don't need to send email to anyone. They just need to just follow the UI and follow the process which is already mentioned, and that would be completely automated. You just need to initiate the transaction, do the things, and it will happen automatically.
So as of right now, it'll be a user process to migrate, which is good because we're not running at what scale would be in the future yet. But there might be a way to automate the process from XMSS to Sphinx, possibly, but more than likely just an automated user process, or excuse me, a manual user process.
Yeah, correct.
Strike, you mentioned obviously this with QRL Project Zond, people being able to be in early and build something very, first of its kind. A question to both of you, Kaushal, and then please piggyback on this as well, Michael. Can we give people a sense, whether it's a Solidity developer watching this or someone else that's potentially considering, hey, maybe I should build something now in testnet or in mainnet really soon? What can you give them some ideas to help expand their thinking around what they could potentially build? I know, Michael, you mentioned, hey, could it be something around NFTs? Could it be something around a DEX? Could it be building an Explorer? Whatever the case might be. Can you guys maybe fill out some bullet points and just give people some ideas? That way they can take it and bring it into their own skill set and their wheelhouse to be thinking about, oh, wow, that might be a possibility. I had this idea for something with Ethereum a few years ago, but whoa, I can do this in a post-quantum way. Could you guys open-ended just give people some ideas as we wrap up this AMA? I think that'd be really helpful because people viewing are thinking it probably.
I think the biggest, for me, this is the biggest use case right off the bat as soon as we go live, is developers that have already developed and deployed their code to Ethereum. It's just is tweaking their code and then bouncing it over to the QRL Zond blockchain. So we have there's this advantage in that the code that we're going to be running is based off Solidity. So the work has already been done for existing projects. If you're a successful DeFi operator or NFT or tokenized assets or whatever it is that your project or you're passionate about, and you've already written the code and you're already running, why not just drop it on the QRL Zond and be able to use the post quantum secure stamp as long as you're using that blockchain. So that might require some different ingress points into the interface on how people are using it. In other words, you'd likely have to have separate websites or something that interfaced one with Ethereum, one with QRL. But we've been here since 2018. This is 7 year. We've been running this blockchain for 7 years in production. So we're not going anywhere. Kaushal, what do you think?
Yeah, anything to add to that? Whether it's just some ideas for people to keep in mind. I know it's pretty open ended. Whether it's something around what they want to build, if they had something in mind today, or if they're just kind of considering a few different ideas. Anything to help expand their thinking or their possibilities of it, whether at now or in mainnet. Listing some of those out might be helpful to give them some creative ideas.
Yeah, so Strike has already covered most of the things which are very much important. But yeah, users or developers can build anything they want, whatever they have built on Ethereum, they can build on the QRL Zond. The extra thing that they will get as a benefit is all of their applications would be quantum resistant. So they can build if they want to make some layer 2 blockchain, if they want to make some kind of staking pool, DEX, atomic swap, anything that they think they want to, or whatever they have built on Ethereum, they can build everything on the Zond, on the QRL Zond, with the extra feature of that, like all of your applications would be quantum secure, so it would be quantum resistant. And in case they have like some issues or if they want help, they can always connect with us, like from Discord, Twitter, Telegram, uh, sending us an email on our official email address. We are available on multiple social media platforms, so yeah.
Perfect. That ports into the question Michael and I were going to ask to wrap up, which is if they run into, as they're building, if they run into issues, whether it be in testnet, mainnet, at any point when they're watching this video. Michael, any other questions to add? I think that wraps it up on my end in terms of AMA. I know we've touched on a few.
That's pretty good. I just want to add, just to clarify one thing. We're not here to spread fear, uncertainty, doubt about the coming threat. The only thing we're doing is helping prepare the ecosystem. I love Bitcoin. I love Ethereum. There's few other altcoins, and I've been in the space since 2013. I was mining Bitcoin in 2013. So I feel passionately about blockchain, but at the same time, I see this coming quantum threat, and I see all of the things that it's going to require for blockchains to be able to migrate. It's going to require, in almost all cases, a manual user process, consensus on post-quantum secure digital algorithm, upgrading all of the nodes, upgrading all of the clients, having consensus on an arbitrary block number on which to eventually deprecate the old DSAs so that they don't use elliptical curve cryptography, and there's one or two other three things that I'm not thinking of right now. But all of this needs to be done before a cryptographically relevant quantum computer becomes a threat. And it's not just that the quantum computer could become a threat once it's known. Even just the rumor or progress of quantum computers can destroy the purchasing power or the value of coins. So these things are moving forward. Governments and large corporations are spending millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in research in this. The governments are already setting forth post-quantum secure standards. The standards are already being developed. You don't even need to believe in quantum computing as a thing because the standards are already changing. Corporations are upgrading, governments are upgrading. A lot of these deadlines are you can look it up online. A lot of these deadlines are now used to be 2035. Now they're 2030. So they've been halved in the past year. With the advances of AI and with the advances of AI being able to connect dots and solve problems at an unprecedented rate in the light speed communication of the internet, this is not 1940s ENIAC computer. Because back then it was a phone call if you wanted to interface. We're all connected at the speed of light. We've got artificial intelligence. This is going to progress. The engineering problems are going to become solved. This is all happening very, very organically in my mind as to how I see tech proceeding forward. So Go ahead, close us out, Ryan.
Yeah, no. So just really as a closing part, off of what Michael said at the end there, really just what Kaushal shared, what Michael and I have talked about in today's AMA. Obviously, if you are a builder in the space and you're considering getting your hands dirty, if you haven't already, based on the resources that Kaushal shared with us in today's AMA, and based on a few of the links we share below this episode, please dig into it. If you have questions, don't hesitate. We have a vibrant QRL Discord community, places for you to go. And really, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to this channel. That way you're kept to date with the latest and greatest around the lane which we're in, which is post-quantum cryptography in the blockchain space, where we've been a leader in the space. Kaushal, Michael, and I, we appreciate your time. Thank you, as always, for joining us. I know that we enjoy it. We have a lot of internal conversations every week that's showing what we see, what's going on. But every single time, whether it's every once in a while or at a consistent cadence as we've done doing lately, being able to show the community and keep them abreast just the same, up to date, is what we love to do. So thank you for sharing all your insights with them and the latest. And as we keep humming forward to this exciting part, which is mainnet upcoming.